you so that people are always asking, well, how long should I stay in? You stay in determining based on what you decided. Everybody is different. Don't get greedy. Don't stay in a trade too long. Set and determine and know when your point has been reached. Outside of also knowing how many pips you want out of each trade, know how many pips you'd like to collect around on a weekly basis. That way you can set a goal and know when you've hit it, and also know when it's time to raise it. Be very realistic. If you're new, don't try to come out the gate saying, I want 200 pips a week. I want 800 pips. Say something like, I want 50 or I want 75 pips a week, and then raise it as you get close to it or as you get it and demolish it. What percent of your account are you willing to risk on any one trade? Now, I'm going to tell you what is the right thing to risk, and you decide after that. Anywhere from 1 to 3% of your account. The higher your account, so like let's say you deposit 10,000, you should be looking more at 1 to 2% of your account. If you deposit something like $1,000, then you can go anywhere from 3 to 5% of your account. But know how much you want to risk on any one trade. Also know how much of your account do you want to risk in a day. So for instance, maybe you say I want to risk 3% per trade, 9% per day. That means if you have 3 losing trades for that day, that means you're done. Do not back away from the computer. Do not trade again. How much are you willing to risk for the week? Maybe it's 9% for the week. So that means if you've lost 9% of your account in that week, no more trading for the week. Go back, meditate, go back, study charts, get an IML Academy. More importantly than entering a trade is what are you going to do once you get in the trade? How are you going to manage it? Are you going to move your stop loss to break even? Are you going to just let it ride? When are you going to secure profits? When are you going to take some positions off? How will you know when it's time to exit? What are you going to do? How far are you going to go down? These are all questions you should ask yourself. Also, what is your exit strategy? When are you going to exit? How will you know when you've hit the target? How will you know when you get out? Sometimes people make the mistake by exiting out of their trade too early because they feel like, oh, it's going negative anyway. But if you set your stop loss, then leave the trade alone. Let it hit your stop loss or your take profit, nothing more. You decide your exit strategy though. This goes back to what kind of trader are you? How much trading are you going to do a week? Are you going to trade every day, multiple times a day? That's more of a scalper. Are you going to trade 3 times a week? That's more of a day trader, or a swing trader even. How much are you going to trade? Know that as well. The last thing you want to do is over trade, meaning you trade way too much. Describe your ideal trade setup. This should be something that is so obvious to you. Like, you should know what an ideal trade setup looks like for you. It might look different for someone else, but for you, it should be like a giant red cow standing in the midst of a bunch of white cows. When you see it, you know it's ready. So make sure you know what your trade setup looks like. That goes back to your confirmation checklist. What currency pairs are you going to trade? Do you have pairs that you won't trade? Do you know what works for you and what doesn't? If you keep a trading journal, after a while, you'll learn that I don't like this pair, or I really love this pair, or this pair moves too much for me, or I always lose on that pair. Know what pair that you don't want to trade and the ones that you do, and stick to those. Are there days and weeks and seasons that you will not trade? Let me give you some good examples. Holidays are good things to not trade. There's downtimes, there's sessions that you really shouldn't trade. You figure that out though. How many positions will you have open at any given time? Meaning, if you open up a trade in Euro USD and then one in GBP NZD and one in USD JPY, how many pairs are you going to be able to open up at any given time? Or how many of the same pair will you have open at any given time? You figure that out and make sure you put it in your plan and stick to the plan. What do you do for your personal development? Because trading is more than just actually being on the charts. It's also mentally. How are you going to keep yourself mentally strong, mentally tough? You have to increase your mental toughness in this market, because when you see yourself getting, one loss after the other or being on a losing streak, it can really hurt, how you feel. It can rattle your why. So make sure you have a very strong personal development plan that you do regularly. What are you going to do with the money you make from trading? There's nothing wrong with dreaming, and in fact, the dream will kind of help you to stay in the game longer. With that trading journal, Use that to inform and